Always be genuine. Always have integrity. Athens 740. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, smash the like button, and feel free to share it with others so that they can see it too. And if you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get updates on what I'm doing for this channel. Thank you all so much for your support. 100 episodes of Bobcat Corner. Here we are. Yeah, this is Stephen Vitt talking once again, and I just want to say thank you guys for supporting me all this way since February 2024 when I started this podcast, not knowing what I would do with this show. But here we are. And going back to how it all started, episode 1 of Bobcat Corner, I titled it College Sports Landscape, simply that. And as you see, the college sports landscape has definitely changed a lot since February 2024, just in a span of 2 years, really, guys. And so a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have changed. Um, some things for the better, but other things definitely not, as you can tell. And clearly, we're in a fork in the road kind of situation here with certain small schools in college football, especially those that are in the MAC, Mid American Conference, which I've highlighted time and time again throughout this course of time. So, with that being said, going into this year, I'm looking forward to 2026. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the 2026 season. This is the calm after the storm, after whatever happened last year in 2025. I truly believe the Ohio Bobcats have nothing to lose here in 2026. We're no longer the hunted, we're the hunters again, just like it was in 2024. And I'm hoping we develop a certain kind of attitude and mentality of, hey, we're the hunters again. We're going to chase this again. Got nothing to lose. We have nothing to fear. No fear. Fear not. I'm telling Ohio Bobcats players right now, fear not. You have nothing to fear. Season opener at Lincoln, Nebraska to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We're not talking about, we are not talking about Tom Osborne walking through that door, being the head coach. Okay. These are not those kinds of teams. Okay. Matt Rule, good coach, but I don't fear Nebraska. I'm just being honest with you guys. I don't fear Nebraska. And we have an interesting schedule coming up ahead here, which I'm going to talk about in depth more later on this episode. But we have nothing to fear, guys. Don't play with any fear. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose at this point. That is the bottom line. That is what I'm going to say, guys. And really, to Ohio Bobcats players and coaches, if you want to be put in the same paragraph as schools like Boise State, James Madison, Tulane, and even UNLV as examples, you have to start acting the part. You have to walk the walk, and you have to do what needs to be done on the field in order to be brought up in conversations for stuff like, oh, who's going to represent the group of 6 conferences in the college football playoff. If you want to start having conversations like that, if you want to be in the conversation, Ohio, you got to start acting the part. Got to start doing what you have to do. It's really that simple. We got to be bold, got to be creative, got to be able to take chances, take risks, got to put pressure on other teams. And I know what the talking heads are going to say. They're already saying it. They've been saying it for months that they're picking us to go fourth or fifth place in the MAC this year, considering everything that has happened. And that clearly is a mistake, in my opinion. That's going to be a mistake on their part, that they're not seeing the developments that we're making as a football program. They're clearly not. They're glossing over it, and they're immediately going to whatever's being done with our rivals in the MAC. They're looking at the investments that Miami of Ohio is making. They're looking at the productivity that Western Michigan has, accumulated, rightfully so. But and even looking at Toledo, which, first year coaching staff, although Mike Jacobs has prior experience as a head coach with Lenore Ryan, excuse me, and Mercer. But first year at Toledo, and they're already ranking Toledo ahead of us. So consider all that, guys, what mainstream media, what they're saying about our chances. And you cannot get any more motivation than that. You cannot be any more motivated to go out there and prove your doubters wrong. And that should be the theme for the 2026 college football season for the Ohio Bobcats. Really, it's just about proving it on the field. Kick ass, take names, do what needs to be done. That really is the bottom line, guys. Just go out there and prove it. Go out there and prove your doubters wrong and show them why you deserve to be ranked higher than fourth or fifth place in the MAC. You guys got what it takes. I'm not known for making rallying cries, or pep talks or speeches, but this is just something for you guys to consider. I'll be back with more content soon enough on this special episode. It began as something simple: baking cookies for family and friends. If you are looking for fresh baked cookies in southeastern Ohio, then look no further than SolFlour Sweets. Thick, gooey cookie boxes baked fresh by SolFlour Sweets. Perfect for Athens locals, Ohio University students, and Hocking Hills visitors. You can find these fresh cookies at Kindred Market and Big Run Kava Bar in Athens, and also on 5281 Washington Street in Albany, and also Cherry Ridge Retreat, Cabins by the Caves, Haven at Cedar Grove, and The Hive at Hocking Hills. Cookie flavors include peanut butter, s'more, cinnamon cloud, cookies and cream, and strawberry Pop-Tart, just to name a few. Bobcat Corner proudly supports SolFlour Sweets. Follow them today on Instagram, solflour.sweets. And we're back with this episode 100, very special episode. And I'm bringing back this camera angle for this occasion. And I'm coming back to you guys to talk a little bit more about this upcoming 2026 college football season, which should be an interesting one because, like I said before, this is the calm after the storm, so to speak, with whatever happened last year in 2025. So with that said, what are the key points for 2026 for the college football season for the Ohio Bobcats? Well, off the top of my head, I came up with this graphic, at least 5 points that I can reveal to you guys, at least share with you guys that, in my opinion, will be key points for the Bobcats going into this season, 2026. And we're just going to start off right now. Number one, it's pretty obvious. The combination of quarterback play and wide receiver production. We have a lot to prove in those positions in particular. We still don't know definitively, as of this recording, we don't know definitively who quarterback one, QB1 is. Tentatively, for the longest time, it's been basically said that it's going to be Nick Paulos, but that's still to be determined. But I have to say the safe bet would be, yeah, it's going to be Nick Paulos. Although keep an eye on other quarterbacks in the quarterback room, such as Matt Vezza, the transfer from New Hampshire, Hype Grand, who redshirted last year and he wants to get some playing time this year, and new freshman quarterback Levi Davis, who just came to us from a very talented high school uh, in the Columbus area. So keep an eye on him too. And as far as wide receiver production goes, Preston Bowman, the transfer from Kentucky, saw a very limited time down there in Lexington. He wants to prove himself as wide receiver number one. Max Rodarte, he's coming off a season last year where he got injured, and that cost him the rest of the season last year, which is why he's eligible to come back this year. He got injured in that game against Gardner Webb last year. So Max Rodarte is going to want to prove himself again and remind people why he's so talented. Dom Dort, he's the guy technically with the most experience out of anybody in the wide receiver room. He wants to take that step up. I know he does. He's putting in the work. And Ian Pugh, keep an eye on him. Not much is said about him when it comes to productivity. I mean, he's not like very talked about, but keep an eye on him too because he can break out too in the wide receiver room. Number two, establishing the run. It's obvious we are a run first team. Duncan Brune, Victor Rosa, and company. A couple guys I did not mention here on this list, but keep an eye on them. Young players such as Michael Taylor Jr. and Irving Brown. Keep an eye on those guys. Uh, Again, a lot of this, what you're going to see here on the roster, are guys that are needing to prove themselves. They got talent, they got upside, they got the potential, but they need to realize it. They need to actually get playing experience to show you guys what they're about. The running game, we're run first. No secret about that. We're going to establish the run first before we can open up the pass. That means Duncan Brune and Victor Rosa, especially, they got to get going. No matter how you use them, 1A, 1B, get them going at the same time, hopefully, and just go from there. Number three, can our linebackers stay healthy all year? That's been a concern over last year because as talented as they are, and they definitely are, our linebackers had an issue about staying healthy on the field all year last year. That's the only question. That is the only question about the linebackers. If they're healthy all year, uh, don't be surprised if they have great productivity. Charlie Christopher, Jack Freeze, Michael Monar, especially those guys. If they stay healthy, we got a shot at it. Uh, Number four, the defense needs to apply consistent pressure in games. I talked about this consistently throughout all of last year that we needed to apply consistent pressure throughout games. Some games we did, other games we did not. We took the pressure off, and that was a mistake in some games where it cost us. Especially in critical third and fourth down situations, we got to keep that pressure on, apply it, and keep it on. If we do that, then we'll force the opponent to make silly mistakes on third and fourth down, and we can get the ball back. So defense has to be in tune with what's going on in critical third and fourth down situations. Apply pressure, and you got it. Then finally, number five, remember last year at Ball State, that was the game that people continuously bring up when it comes to, okay, what was the, don't want to say Achilles heel, but what was the main setback for the Ohio Bobcats last year, 2025? They point out that game a lot. When we went to Muncie, Indiana, and we were up, we were leading 14-10, and then 14-12, and we did not have momentum. The momentum was not on our side. Ball State kept gaining momentum, and then they overtook us. They beat us 20-14. Remember that game last year, guys. For those of you Bobcats players that were on that roster last year, you know what that felt like. To have that game and just to see it be taken away from you by the Ball State Cardinals We can't have a setback game like this again. The one at Ball State cannot have that again. If we, this time around, if we keep the pressure on a team like Ball State, you know, then it's very unlikely that Ball State's going to do that kind of stuff to us again. So those are just five key points that I want to point out for you guys for the Ohio Bobcats in 2026. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, because these these points I just shared with you guys, these are just straightforward. They're not complex. They're not out of left field. They're just something that any football team can really, can really comprehend and understand. So there's that. And I have to think that mentality wise, and it starts with mentality, just like it was in 2024. If you have the right mentality as a football team, you're going to be fine. You're not going to have setback games like that one at Ball State last year. I don't suspect that to happen this year. Definitely not to that degree, at least. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please take out time to review the Ohio Bobcats schedule for this year and let me know what you guys think. What's your predicted record, win loss record for the Ohio Bobcats this year? Um, I'm going to share with you guys very shortly what I think of the schedule, how I think it shakes out. And I'm trying to be realistic as possible when it comes to that uh, guess that I'm going to make there, but let me know what you think. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just talking about football and not talking about all the other behind the scenes stuff. I just really want to talk about football going forward, at least for now. So, yeah, let's just get ready for this. Welcome back, guys, to episode number 100 of Bobcat Corner. This is a milestone episode for this show. And I'm joined by the Director of Business Development at Ohio Athletics, Cade Williamson. Thank you so much, Cade, for being on my show. And so I want to ask you this question involving the Ohio Bobcats football program for the 2026 season. Uh, Break it down for me. What are your thoughts heading into the season? What are your expectations? And you check the schedule for the Bobcats this year. Uh, how do you think this is going to shake out for the Bobcats this year?
As first, Stephen, thank you for having me on, and second, I think it's going to be a great season to be a fan of the Bobcats this year. Obviously, as somebody who was a previous student at Ohio University, I very much know a lot when it comes to the football team and keeping up with the football team and where's everything going. And coming off of a really one of the most successful stretches in Ohio Bobcats football history. I mean, the sky is the limit at this point when it comes to what the Bobcats can do. Obviously, John Hauser, great guy, coming in his first year as a coach. I'm very excited to see what he can do leading this Bobcats team and that Bobcats defense. There's a lot of players that are returning on that team. A lot of great people that are going to be on that defense this year, and I think Coach Hauser is going to have them chomping at the bit this year. And I think it'll be a very fun season for the Bobcats. I think that obviously the goals are once again high to get that second MAC championship in the last 3 years and just get back to Detroit. I think a lot of that is also keeping that bowl streak alive. 7 straight bowl wins for the Bobcats. I was able to be there down in Frisco for that win, and that was a great experience. Just kind of being there and getting to see the team and everything that went into that bowl win. That was huge, a huge bowl win, and you got to keep that momentum. I think the Bobcats are in a very good position to do that. Like I said, a lot of really good returning starters, a lot of the defense. I can't say enough about the defense, especially with Coach Hauser. Like, he'll have those guys ready. He will have those guys very much ready to go this year. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be in Peden Stadium against Jacksonville State on September 12th, and I can't wait for the beginning of the season in Lincoln against the Cornhuskers to start off this year. A slate that this year, looking at it, obviously traveling out to Sacramento State, the new member of the Mid-American Conference. That'll be a bit of a fun trip for the Bobcats to go out there all the way out to California for the first time. And I think since San Diego State was the last time they were out there in California. But yeah, I think it'll be a very fun season. I think there's a lot for people to look forward to this year. very enjoyable time, and I for one can't wait. I can't wait to be at Peden Stadium. Be there, be at the game, and see what the Bobcats can do once again. Standing up and cheering and being behind them, and hoping things work out once again. And hey, keep that bowl streak alive.
Yeah. So, in closing, quick follow-up question. So, what do you think, as far as predictions go? What is going to be the win-loss record for the Ohio Bobcats in general and in MAC play?
I think the Bobcats will be again. Will be competitive. I believe that the squad will be very competitive this year. Um, they'll obviously, I just spoke about the defense and what that experience on that defense is going to bring. But I think that looking at it, it's a pretty favorable schedule for the Bobcats this year. Obviously, it'll be a tough one going out there, going out to Oxford when it comes that time of the year, but. It was a tough one 2 years ago, and hey, the Bobcats got him back when they were up in Detroit. So don't count that out. I think it'll be a very interesting game. Also, on the day after Thanksgiving, the final game of the regular season against Toledo. I think that will be a very interesting game as well. I think Nebraska could be a pretty fun game with some of the changes that have gone on there and a little bit of the history that might be going into that game. But I think that could be a very fun game. I mean, the Bobcats opened up against Rutgers last year, another Big Ten opponent on the road, and punched them in the mouth a little bit, gave them a run for their money against a P4 opponent. So I think that'll be a pretty interesting game. Obviously, you have the two out of conference games after that. South Alabama, a team that's the return of that home and home series. It'll be a pretty competitive game there. And Jacksonville State, a team that's also a rematch from the Cure Bowl from a couple of years ago. Obviously, with very similar staffs that were for getting their putting their time in the first games that they really had at that Cure Bowl. So, I think in MAC play, I think the Bobcats will be, toward the top of the MAC once again in the conversation. Last year, the loss to Ball State was heartbreaking, very heartbreaking loss to Ball State. Um, and then the loss to Western Michigan. I mean, that was obviously was a very good Western Michigan team because they went and won the entire conference, and they're projected to win again. So I think it'll be. I don't want to give any numbers, but I think that it'll be. I would expect. I would think that the Bobcats get a bowl game once again, get qualified, bowl eligible once again, and be toward the top of that MAC play, and make it a pretty interesting time when Toledo comes to town there in late November. A game that might have a lot of implications when it comes to who ends up going to Detroit the following week.
Yeah. So, with that, we're just got to wait and see how this season unfolds for the Ohio Bobcats football team. And we'll close it out with this outro that I made by myself. Always have integrity, always be genuine. Athens 740. Welcome back to the 100th episode of Bobcat Corner 100. Sometimes I wonder, how do we get here? Anyway, I'm your host, Stephen Vitt. I'm joined, as always, by my best friend, Mike Coleman,
How's it going, everybody?
co-founder of BobcatAttack.com. And yeah, for this episode, we're just going to have just a general rundown through the schedule for the Ohio Bobcats in the 2026 season. And now that we're getting closer to the beginning of the season, we have like additional information about what might happen, what we think could happen. So we're just going to go right through it. And now I need to start sharing some images here. Let's see. Let's see. Instagram. Yep. All right. There we go. So that's the schedule right now. So at first glance, Mike, what are you seeing here for the schedule?
Well, the schedule opens off great. I think this is like people have been looking forward to this game for a long time since it was scheduled because of, the connection to Frank Solich and all the Nebraska people that have come through Athens. And, you know, so, Frank's gone, but the game, the program lives on. I'm sure it'll be quite the event.
Yep. So out of all these games that's on the schedule for the Bobcats in 2026, which games in particular stick out to you, Mike?
I would say Miami on the road. That should be a big game on like the Maction. That's always like quite the battle, and Miami's bringing back a lot of people from last year's team. They might be looking for some revenge. Uh, you know, even going back to the MAC championship 2 years ago. So I'm sure that should be a great game. On a Tuesday. And one other thing is the Eastern Michigan game. You would think Eastern Michigan, they're bringing back like a ton of players. I think when you look at returning starts, um, they're number one in the MAC, and they had some pretty close games last year that you know didn't quite pan out, and they're bringing back perhaps the best quarterback in the MAC, Noah Kim, who's in his like 45th season or something like that. Grandpa. Uh, so Unk's at the helm, and they got to come into Peden, but I think that they're a dark horse for the MAC championship. Everyone's looking at Western, but don't count out Eastern.
Yeah. Some of the games that stick out to me at first glance would be our first few games here. The first home game, the home opener, hosting Jacksonville State. They made it to the Conference USA championship game last year. Jacksonville State. They're going to have a well-rounded team coming into Peden Stadium in Athens. So I would not count out Jacksonville State as far as giving us a game goes. So we got to look out for them. And speaking of Jacksonville State, I do have stats to bring up here. Caden Creel, their quarterback. So he's a senior, and he started like 14 games last year. 9 of them starts, 183 rushing attempts for 1,076 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground. And then as a passer, for quarterback play, Creel was like 130 of 211 pass attempts for 1,514 yards, 4 interceptions, 9 touchdowns. Yeah, so we got to account for him.
Definitely.
On defense. He's a guy who can make plays, in other words. And so, yeah, in South Alabama, we go to Mobile, Alabama. That could be a tricky kind of game there where there again, the following week, another interesting quarterback to deal with, Bishop Davenport. I believe he's a starter. 200 out of 294 passing attempts, 2,073 yards, 6 interceptions, 12 touchdowns, 116 rushing attempts for 325 yards, 9 touchdowns on the ground, 12 games altogether last year for him, Davenport. So yeah, South Alabama, that's going to be very interesting.
Definitely. Those teams, good conferences, and you never know what you're going to get. We played, South Alabama a couple of years ago, and I think they were on their third string quarterback for that game. But, they still put up a fight. It's a usually very physical team. And, Jacksonville, which is also in Alabama, I believe.
Yep.
So I didn't know that until we played them in the bowl game. Embarrassed to say that, but so again, another good team. They've, that bowl game was a classic, and I know they have a different coaching staff in there, but I believe they'll be another really good team. Have another good team this year.
Yeah, when you're dealing with the runner-ups of Conference USA, you must be dealing with a pretty good team. So,
correct. Yeah.
At South Alabama, they had like kind of an off year last year, but just a few years ago, they were pretty good. So can't count out them either. And as far as Nebraska goes, that's obvious. That's going to be an obvious tough game for us to start the season.
We have a familiar face at quarterback for Nebraska, I believe, is the quarterback for UNLV last year in our bowl game. So we kind of made him look bad, and I'm sure it's not often that a MAC school is circled on the schedule, but I think when he saw us, he's had us circled for a while. So that should be an interesting matchup. Our defense should be the strength of our team. I think that game, to see how it goes, that'll tell you a lot how how our team's going to be this year.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, when I look at that opening game for us, yes, it's a Big Ten team, but I'm not putting them in the same sentence as Ohio State, because when we played Ohio State last year, they're obviously one of the best teams in the entire country, and they will be again this year, Ohio State. So when I look at Nebraska, I compare them more to Rutgers in that kind of sense. And if you recall the opening game on the road at Piscataway, New Jersey last year, we gave Rutgers a heck of a run.
Sure.
We only lost by a field goal there. So if it's anything like that, then we might, keyword might, just have a shot at Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, it's that game last year we were kind of breaking into defense, and our offense did very well. Our special teams, which I'll get into that a little later, but again, we could have easily won the Rutgers game. We had a punt blocked and missed this and that, field goals, extra points. I don't know, it wasn't good to start the year last year in special teams. So I expect that to be a lot better. Again, not often, the season opener are always going to be good, but I think there's going to be a little bit of pride, to go in there, for Frank Solich and perform well too. So it should be a good game.
Yep. And about special teams, one key point about that last year was when we started the year last year, our special teams was such a mess, such as the punt block for a touchdown. Especially with our punting game, we should be better off right now, because Magnus Haynes, as the year went on last year, it seems like the light bulb went on for him, and he turned out to be pretty decent towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and we have an all MAC type kicker who played at a different MAC school, Will Risco, I guess. Not sure exactly how to pronounce it. I don't have my notes in front of me here, how to pronounce these names. So, Peacock performed well at Incarnate Word, so he was kind of a disappointment last year. He showed up like the second game of the year. I'm like, who is this guy? But he made a lot of kicks the year before, so I think we should be in pretty good hands there. Again, like last year was one of those weird years where we had replaced the snapper, the holder, and the kicker. And if you watch some of those in slow-mo like I did, some of those snaps weren't that great, and they definitely got better. Everything seemed to get better as the season went on. So hopefully this year they start where they ended up last year.
Yeah. So looking into the schedule a little bit more, it looks like we could be hitting our stride if we're going to start stringing together wins. I think it would definitely start with the game against FCS opponent Stonehill, the Skyhawks. We'll be at home for that one, and then we get into MAC play, which we know how to handle that. Starting with Kent State, going to the Kents, but still Kent State Golden Flashes, and then Central Michigan, which could be a better team in the MAC. But we'll see about that.
Second year coach, they'll probably be a little better. They had some quarterback things last year. They didn't quite have their guy, so that they're probably looking to improve that position. But the new coach there, I think he came from Army. He seems like he's gonna have them fight. They're not. It's not a quitting type team. So, and then we have Sacramento State, and we got to fly all the way out there. And then, like I said, we got Eastern Michigan, who could be one of the top teams. So you think, hey, we're gonna start this, but any one of those could go wrong, like it did last year at Ball State.
Yeah, and I'll get into Ball State in a minute, because that was the one thing that kept getting brought up to me afterwards about, that game at Ball State last year, where we were ahead, we were winning the game, but it didn't feel like we were really winning. And Ball State just took
No,
the momentum.
it
Yeah.
just like there was no. Yeah, sometimes you're like, this game's over at halftime. I had no. I've seen it before, like just the lethargic nature of our team that game, and dumb penalties, false starts, getting behind the sticks with holding penalties. Um, Navarro wasn't sharp. Um, the running game was non-existent. We had in the first half, I think, 3 or more possessions inside the 20 and came away with like 3 points. So, it's a game we probably should have put away early and just let them hang around. And it was one of those noon games, which is Central Time Zone, so 11 in the morning for us. We looked half asleep. It wasn't a good. It was terrible. It was, they turned it around after that, but I definitely believe that, that's probably a coaching thing. Like I think that you kind of have to, when a team comes out like that, you probably put that one on Smith. So hopefully Hauser doesn't let something like that happen, say at Kent State or Sacramento or Akron, one of those places we feel like we should win.
Yeah. And specifically about Ball State, I don't think we're going to be asleep at the wheel, so to speak, when we play them again this year.
No.
I think we have that game circled. It's like, yeah, we can't screw up against Ball State again.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But
so
I feel like Akron, these teams, they kind of put it, together near the end of the year last year. So, even Kent State, like people had Kent State left for dead after their coaching issues, after the season, like it was like, are they going to drop the program? Akron, again, like they weren't eligible for academics, and like, those teams kind of rallied and put together decent seasons. What we had, I think they were both 5-7, right?
Yeah, they end up 5-7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they are responding to their current head coach, Mark Carney. So there's always that. Kent State 5-7. They could be on the upswing here, so can't sleep on them either. And Sacramento State, as you mentioned, that's going to be an interesting game because we're going to be flying all the way out across the country out west. And I'm sure we're going to take the challenge on, but you don't know what you're going to get because this is Sacramento State's first year on the FBS level, and you don't know what they're going to throw at you.
No, but a talented team, like they're a talented team. So usually when you come against an FBS team, they don't have as many scholarships and stuff like that. So maybe their budget isn't as high, but top of the lineup, plenty of talent there. So it takes a good quarterback, good running game, and you can make about any game you want here in the MAC.
Yeah. So we have the bye week there in between the games against Eastern Michigan and Akron. I think that's a well-placed bye week there. And then, of course, we get into Akron, Miami of Ohio, Ball State. And then the season-ending game at home that's against the Toledo Rockets. Toledo has been known to give us a lot of trouble,
Oh yeah,
when it comes to games.
We really don't do well against them. No, like
although
they're in Toledo, especially here, I could think of a few times where we kind of let one slip away at home, let one slip away on the road during the Solich years, going back to the Jim Grobe years, and then in the MAC championship a few years back, just couldn't move the ball at all on them. With our backup quarterback, third string quarterback, but again, that's a couple good wins against them, but few and far in between.
Yeah. Although back in 2024, as we all know, we actually went up to Toledo and beat them. So
Correct.
maybe it's changing
We
when
have
it
we
comes to
have
that.
we finally got that glass bowl thing off us, but the yeah, it should be a good game Friday, day after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So
So
Black
just
Friday.
yep. So to read off just a few more stats here, starting with Sacramento State. I found it interesting because when I was doing research about this, some of these numbers jumped out at me. For Sacramento State, their quarterback I think is going to be uh, Carson Conklin. Now he spent last year at Fresno State with the Fresno State Bulldogs, but he's come back to Sacramento State. So combining his time at Sacramento State originally, 2023, 2024, combining those seasons, he played in 26 games overall, 51 of 94 in 2023 for 744 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And then 2024, he completed 261 of 419 passes for 2,876 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Now, keep in mind that was like with the special offense from a previous coaching staff. There's like a go-go offense, so it could be a little bit different how Sacramento State runs their offense this year.
Correct. And yeah, they had that guy everybody loves. Like he's the new. He's kind of the new run and shoot guy, Mouse Davis, or going back. The super creative offense, but it'll be interesting to see what identity Sacramento State brings this year. So again, that's a really good matchup. Opening week, Sacramento State and going to Eastern Michigan. So
Oh yeah.
that should be a lot of footballs flying in the air for that game. So and when it comes down to it, like a lot of this is, all these teams have talented quarterbacks and some good skill position players. It's going to be on the line. It's these games are won on the line. I know Eastern Michigan last year gave us all sorts of problems, but near the end we put a lot of pressure on Eastern Michigan and got that game won, and ran the ball down their throat too to finish it off.
Yeah. And so going down the line here, got a couple more stats to read here. Central Michigan, I'm assuming their starting quarterback is going to be Angel Flores. 8 games he started or appeared in, 83 of 114 pass attempts for 1,033 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And on the ground, 103 rushing attempts for 519 yards, 8 touchdowns on the ground. So another capable quarterback to deal with.
Definitely dual threat type team. He came Drinkle, is that his name? Their coach?
Yeah.
Came from Army, so he has a lot of experience in the triple option. Didn't really see that from Central last year, but they have a lot of option type schemes. They'll put their quarterback out, they'll run him, he'll throw, just keeps the defense off balance. It's not back to our triple option days and OU pass during the Jim Grove years, but again, a dual threat quarterback. He split time last year. He's probably the guy this year, so it'll be interesting to see this game. Again, these games you can start thinking about them too much.
Yeah.
Really, you gotta just the team and the coaches just gotta get us thinking about us and where we need to improve and what we want to do with the football games.
Yep. And one last stat here, going back to Kent State, their quarterback, Drew DeShields, 11 games last year he appeared in, 136 of 240 pass attempts for 2,030 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So he's no slouch at quarterback.
Touchdown to interception ratio. And if I recall, he didn't start the year at quarterback, right?
I don't think he did. No.
I think he came in. They had another guy. I don't know if he got benched or hurt. Sorry, I can't remember all this stuff. But so he put together, a little bit of action type offense. So I'm kind of glad that our defense backs and linebackers and defense line is allegedly the strong point of the team. I hope that comes true because DBs and linebackers are going to have to be all over that field this year.
Yeah. So taking a break from looking at the schedule, Mike, you said you had like 5 key points.
I do. I have 5 key points. So I have 5 reasons why Ohio is going to have a MAC championship season. And then I'm going to have 5 reasons why not. So
Okay.
what should I start with? Why or why not?
Let's start with the why not first and then go with the why.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, so I would say number 1 is odds, okay? So the odds are eventually one of these new coaches isn't going to work out. We've had a lot of new coaches here after Solich left, Albin, Smith, and now Hauser, 3 coaches in 3 years. At some point, it might, Vegas might say you're going to roll the dice and it's not going to work out. I don't think that's going to be the case, but hypothetically, there are odds. 2, our offensive line is very unproven this year. Lost all 5 starters, brought in some transfers, and coaches seem very excited about the second string last year. We had some injuries during the season. Allen missed some time, and Weatherspoon missed some time. And, when I was watching the games, Cisse and stuff filled in great. Shelby, there was no drop-off when those guys were in. So I expect them to, kind of come in to do that. But, again, they're not coming back. They're not cohesive. They don't have any starts together or anything. So, and we have a new offensive line coach. So, again, the offensive line, big question mark. Our identity is running the football, taking time off the clock, complementary football, what they say, use the clock, let your defense, let them get you back on the field. But unless the line comes out, and dominates like they have in years past, we could see a very different type of season. 3, I think the transfers, again, kind of like the odds about the coaching, we're relying on some transfers. We got some good guys coming in, but are they all going to pan out? Seems like the coaches like them so far, but when that game starts, a lot of these guys are coming up from a different level. Will that pan out? 4, like the offensive line, the running back room is very thin. Duncan Brune, little bit of a drop off last year from Bangura when he was in there. Didn't seem to quite have the burst through the hole. He got a lot better from year 1 to year 2. If he makes that jump again, you saw what he did against UMass when he hurdled that guy and all that. He's got, the sky is high for him. And then who's backing him up? Is it going to be Taylor? The transfer from UConn.
Victor Rosa.
Again, yeah, correct. And I just think it's a thin room, inexperienced, but again, we've been there before. And number 5, what happens if there's a slow start? So we don't have the leader, the Parker Navarro, to kind of just take these people and show them the way. We have a quarterback in his 5th season who hasn't really played a whole lot. Is there going to be a leader to right the ship if things don't go well? Say we go through South Alabama and Jack State and we don't win one of the. What if we start 0-3? People are going to be talking oh, this is it. OU's done. There's streak's over. How do we respond to that? So that's 5 good reasons why we are not going to have a winning season. Now, 5 reasons why we're going to win the MAC championship. Okay, this is is things half full or half empty? Okay, this list is half full. I would like to say the cohesiveness of the coaching staff and all our some of our new coaches are also old coaches. So our defensive coordinator was here a couple years ago. He's familiar with all these kids. Like, they love him. They're so happy to have him back. Maddox, Izzy on the offense. Like, it's not often you go through 3 coaches and you keep the same type of offense coordinator, like, who's just been here the whole time to study that. That's kind of unheard of. So I think when you have in these new coaches in new roles, but they've been here a while. Again, like defensive backfield coaches, and defensive line coaches that have been here. That I think that's gonna be what we need to help bring this all together. Number 2, this is a reason why we're going to win, and this is going to sound crazy, but we have a new and unproven quarterback. So you say, well, that doesn't make any sense. But when you look back at Ohio University since the Frank Solich days, we often do our best when we have a very unproven quarterback. We won the MAC championship with Parker Navarro, who he'd started 1 game and really hadn't played. He'd been injured. Like, he just was complete unknown. And like, oh, Rourke's gone, OU's done. And then like, here's this Parker Navarro guy. So we've done this before, going back to Greg Wyndham and Quentin Maxwell took us to the MAC championship game where we almost beat Western Michigan. Tyler Tettleton was a kind of unknown redshirt sophomore and took us to the MAC championship game. So, we lost both those games except for the Navarro. But 3 times we had a completely unknown quarterback and we got to the MAC championship game. 3, our defense, like we're loaded. Like, these guys they're not just back. They're back after performing at a very, very high level. So the defensive backfield, defensive line, and then when you add in the transfers and some of the red shirts and stuff, it's just like, it seems like a really, 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 really strong group. For the schedule, I think the schedule, if we can start off, build on it, the schedules, again, we could get on a little bit of a streak. And so a young team that gets on a streak starts feeling pretty good about themselves. I think we could have a good year. And number 5, I'm going to say brick by brick. Okay, so how was this thing built from Frank Solich? And they always talk about brick by brick. The bricks are still there. Okay, that were Solich and Albin and Brian Smith and Hauser when he was like a coordinator. Like, the bricks are still there. So they're not having to rebuild anything. The building's still there, and it's still standing, and it's still strong. And I think that could keep the train rolling.
Yeah,
I mix my metaphors there with the bricks and the train. But,
yeah. So when you mentioned brick by brick, I also use an analogy, a hashtag, if you will, keep the trees strong. Because I grow trees. I have orchard trees in my backyard, and it's like, yeah, you may have to do some trimming off the trees, the tree branches, but if the roots of that tree are still strong, then it's going to grow and it's going to bear fruit, so to speak. And I just think with what we've been doing as a football program these last few years, especially going back to Frank Solich, I just think that we have a strong foundation, strong roots of a tree that's just continuing to grow, in my opinion. So that would be
definitely. Again, we can use tree metaphors. These coaches are great at this. They get the who's the guy at Eastern Michigan? They got the big thing, and they knock through the wall.
a sledgehammer, yeah.
And PJ Fleck with row the boat and stuff like that. It's great when it's great when it goes well. When it goes well, and when you're 0-10 and you just gotta come out there and tell these kids, your little saying, it's rough. But the brick thing, it just seems like it's the natural for Ohio University in Athens, and I hope it stays. Again, yeah. I don't know. I got my popcorn ready.
So I'm gonna pull this back up the schedule, Mike. Just in your opinion, when you look at this schedule overall, just making a prediction, a guess, what would you think would be the overall win-loss record for the Ohio Bobcats in 2026?
I'm gonna go with 8-4.
8-4? Yeah.
Regular season, I don't know if that gets us in. I don't know if 6-2. I'm going 2-2, and I think we win one of the Jacksonville State or South Alabama game. I don't know if we're going to be consistent enough to win both. I think we beat Stonehill, and then I think we go 6-2. I don't know if that gets us into the MAC championship game. I think the MAC is I think it's going to be a pretty good year for it. So, again, I think Miami and Western are probably the teams to beat. They played last year in the championship game, but I think they can be beaten. We almost had Western Michigan last year on the road. It was a tough loss. I mean, we gave up the most ridiculous touchdown on I think the kid broke 15 tackles. Some people missed 2 tackles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
talking about the Western Michigan game
last
year.
Western Michigan game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a tough game.
Yeah, towards the end of that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8-4. That sounds like a definitely realistic.
But I feel like the defense isn't going to give up those type of plays this year. And
no, I'm not getting that feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up another screenshot here. Hope I'm getting the right one. Let's see. Okay. Bear with me. I'm trying to get the right one here. Oh, yeah, screenshots. There we go. That's the one. Okay. This is what I'm going to put. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh, green colored glasses there, Steven.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hold on. Let me get this banner off for a minute. Okay. So this is not to say that it's going to be easy, because it's definitely not going to be easy. When I say this is just a guess of mine, not being ultra realistic. This is more like the Bobcats fan of me, hoping. But it's yes, the opening game at Nebraska loss, and I get an odd feeling about the last game against Toledo loss there. So there's your 2 losses right there. But when I say these wins, it's not going to be easy. Look at the margin of scores here. We're talking 3, 4 points, 7 points. These teams are going to give us a heck of a run. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I see your consistent nature. Thinking the defense is going to hold us in some games. We're going to, win a game 17-14, 14-7, that type of thing. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah. For example, Jacksonville State, 21-17, that's only 4 points. It's not like, oh, we're going to blow them out. No, I think Jacksonville State's going to have a lot to say when they come up here to Athens. So close games, but I keep getting this feeling it's clutch moments. I keep getting this feeling that the Bobcats might be ready to pull out games in the clutch.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel excited about some of the talent we brought in. Preston Bowman. I feel like I'm not sure what our budget was. I think our payroll is higher than a lot of people were saying this year. I don't know if that's the new thing, but we got some guys who could really burst kind of onto the scene. Special teams again, cost us so many times last year. No return game whatsoever. We got a guy who ran back 3 kicks last year coming in. So I feel like this is again winning the games when you need to win them. So being clutch.
Yeah. So yeah, looking into this, it's some of these games, it's like I could see us being down a little bit in the third or fourth quarter, and then somehow we just pull it off. That's kind of like my thinking when I predict these games. So
Yeah, the opening game is gonna be interesting. Like I don't know. Like again, that's kind of like Rutgers last year. When I saw that, I was like, wow, this team's gonna be like pretty good. And then again, Ohio State was like pretty good, but then we went to Ball State, and I was like, what happened? So hopefully a little more consistency. That's going to be on the coaching staff. When you get these, we we really don't have we have a lot of Saturday night games.
yeah, a lot of Saturday night games.
So, we got Jacksonville State, 6:00. We got home games. Like, we don't have that noon game. Now, TV changes these sometimes. So that would be interesting to see if all of a sudden, hey, we're going to Kent State, and they're going to switch that from 7 to noon. It's happened. So, but again, that's not that bad. Like, they're coming up the night before. It's not that long of a road trip. You can have, but like, the anytime you change a time zone, that's going to be tough. Again, going to Sacramento State, I'm glad it's 7. So that's within like where you practice every day from 3 to 6. So that's going to feel like a time to play football for them.
Yeah. So that's just my, wishful thinking kind of prediction there, 10-2, but not easy, by the way. So get that off. So we're going to go.
I like the way you think. That's like you're liking the 5 reasons why.
Yeah. Leaning towards that. I'm thinking quite a bit optimistically about this, even though we are going to have our challenges this year.
I like your new flag too, by the way.
Oh yeah. That gray one.
Keep adding them. Keep getting more and more.
Yeah, I've had that.
Go
for
retro,
a while.
get a paw.
Yeah, and I got the green banner behind me, Ohio University. So yeah. So leading up to our bottom line, closing thoughts in general, Mike. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching staff, wherever you want to take it. Where do you think this is all headed for this year, 2026?
Again, I don't want to be like, green colored glasses or drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever.
Right.
But we've just seen it before. Like I said, 3 times we've had no QB coming into with anything, and we've gotten to the MAC East Championship game. So, some of our biggest flops were with very experienced quarterbacks. I know Curtis Work was pretty banged up his senior year, but that was a disappointing year, and Tyler Tettleton's senior year was definitely a disappointing year. So, even last year, like, you win the MAC championship and you bring your quarterback back, you expect to be back in the show. So it wasn't a bad year. I thought it was successful, but we haven't been bad in a long time. So don't want to just assume everyone's going to work out and we're just going to put this great team on there, but they seem to know what they're doing. It seems to be a program. So, hopefully it continues. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And in closing thoughts for me, by the way, I'm wearing a new shirt, Ohio Bobcats shirt, by the way. Yeah.
I'm wearing an Appalachian.
Oh, nice.
We have a lot of flooding in that part of the country.
Oh, yeah.
And Southeast Ohio. My heart goes out to you guys.
Yeah.
If you're in New Lexington or somewhere and you're flooded out, we're thinking of you.
Stay safe, guys. But yeah, closing thoughts for me is like, I'm thinking optimistically about this. Like I said in my predictions, it's not going to be easy. Just because I said 10-2, it's not going to be easy for us because we're going to have our own fair share of challenges along the way. We're going to get gonna get a lot of talented teams on our schedule that's gonna try to show something to us. And certain positions of note would be like quarterback, wide receiver, uh, defensive line, just to name a few. If those positions can step up and
Who
be
do you
consistent,
think will be the starting quarterback week 1?
I think the safe pick would be Nick Paulos.
Okay, and do you think he'll be the starting quarterback week 12?
I would believe so. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say yes and then no,
Okay.
because
And
I believe we will be putting in either Veza or Davis, kind of rotating him in, one of those guys, uh, a couple times a game, and after a while, like they might, win the job.
okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it
Oh,
really
prove me
depends.
wrong, Nick. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, it really depends on Nick Polos. He came back for a reason because he believes that he has what it takes to be QB1. Okay, Nick, this is your chance. This is your chance to show everybody why you came back and why you have what it takes to be a starting quarterback. And I hope he does well. I hope Nick does well. Different kind of quarterback compared to Parker Navarro, but he has his own skill set. If Nick Paulos has a good arm, like people are saying that he does, then we're going to have good productivity there in the
Right.
passing game
Yes,
from
if we have a
Paulos. Yeah.
running game. So I honestly feel like Polos will be good if all of a sudden Brune and Taylor are putting out 230 to 250 yards on the ground. Um, he will have a good year. If we fall behind and he's got to drop back 30 times, I hope he is improved.
Yeah. So yeah, the running game again. Duncan Brune, Victor Rosa, uh, Irving Brown, Michael Taylor Jr., those guys especially, if they can get any combination of yards per game going, then we're going to be okay because we know how to pound the rock and run the football. And wide receiver, like I said, Preston Bowman, Ian Pugh, Dom Dort, and of course Max Rodarte. If those guys can get going in the passing game, catching the ball, then we should be fine there. Defense, I think we'll be able to step up on defense with our defensive line. Linebackers, I love what we got there with the linebackers
Yeah,
as long as they stay healthy.
yeah, and I tell you, like last year we added a kind of a D2 guy, like people didn't really pay much attention, and he ended up being quite the player. So I think we did that again this year with this Martov kid, and this is Jermaine Minnis. You think he's a sophomore? The dude is just. I mean, I don't know if he put him at defense line, but you see these videos of the guy out there. He's just like massive. So
Yeah.
you just these, we run with two linebackers, but really maybe we should go to the 3-4 or something. It's like it's a strong point. So maybe some
Yeah.
of these, like if you look at Caden Schmitz, he was a linebacker, but they put him at defensive end quite a bit, and or brought him off the blitz. So these guys will all have their individual. Christopher is one of the best tacklers I've ever seen. Molnar and Freeze are great. I think this Minnis is going to be quite the player, and some are going to pressure the quarterback more. Some are just going to be your all-around linebacker, good in coverage, good against the run. You know the system well. These kids have all been in it. It's in defensive line, like that bowl game. These kids, Ackerman and Marsh and Herman and Dukes, were really putting the pressure on UNLV, and they're all going to be back. And if you can put pressure up front, and you have a solid defensive backfield, it should be that can keep a lot of games close. Get some turnovers, and looking forward to it. I'm excited about the defense.
Yep.
So well, stay healthy.
Stay healthy, indeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically my summary of what I think could happen this upcoming year, 2026. And before we wrap this up, guys, as I mentioned in my latest live stream, I do plan on having a Bobcat Corner live. Uh, when I go live on YouTube after the games. And Mike, feel free to join me for those Bobcat Corner live when you can, because I'd love to have you on so we can share our notes for each game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to this season. It really looks like something special is in the making here.
Yeah. So my daughter, who's at OU, and she's been associated with the football program and stuff. Like there is a kind of a just assumption that they're gonna have a team, that's gonna be good. And so again, like they don't have necessarily the household names. Like you saw so many Navarro jerseys last year. I don't know if you'll probably see more Navarro jerseys next year than anyone on the team. So people have to kind of build their stardom. I'm sure, Charlie Christopher, DJ Walker maybe aren't household names just because of the positions they play. But, I think there is an expectation that, amongst the students that football is a thing on campus. So, they'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah. So in closing, guys, I just want to take this time to say thank you all to all my subscribers here, my channel, and what you guys do to support Bobcat Corner and what I do here. And I'd like to thank you, Mike Coleman, for joining me on this
Thanks for
journey
having me.
here.
It was the
And
greatest
it's like
greatest
100
email I
episodes.
ever got.
Yeah, 100 episodes and counting. We're continuing our journey past this, of course. And I'm really thankful. I'm stay humble and just be really thankful for what you have. And going forward, who knows? Who knows what the future holds for Bobcat Corner, where we go. And eventually, I will be there in Athens one day. I will be there to take in a Bobcats game and
We're
just
gonna get our own studio.
yeah,
On the hill,
yeah.
on the hill.
But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say that to you guys, to everyone watching this. Thank you for making Bobcat Corner what it is today, because without you, I don't know where I'd be. So, with that being said, thank you, Mike Coleman, for being my co host as always. Thank you guys for watching. And we will be back with more Bobcat Corner
Next
content
100
very
is
soon
going to
enough.
be even better. Just getting
Yeah.
started.
Yep. And as we always say here, always be genuine, always have integrity. Athens 740. Take care, guys.
Courageous. How are you doing, Courageous? 12 years old. Old grandma cat.
Sela, enjoying your new birdcage, Sela? Hope you're happy, Sela. You're a good birdie. Beep, 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 beep.